There is a mason jar sitting on my balcony railing right now, and it is full of milk, not fertilizer from the garden center, not something with a long name on the label. Milk out of my own refrigerator mixed with water, and I will tell you a small secret. It is 3 days past the date on the carton. In a couple of minutes, I'm going to pour it into the container where my green beans grow. And here's the strange part. Last summer, before I learned this, my bean plants were the biggest, greenest, most beautiful plants on this whole balcony, and they gave me almost nothing to eat. Vines climbing everywhere, leaves the size of my hand, maybe a dozen skinny pods across the entire season. This summer, same containers, same seed packet, same sunny corner by the wooden fence, and I am picking a colander full of green beans every 3 or 4 days. The plants are actually a little smaller. The harvest is easily 5 times bigger. The difference is this jar, plus 2 small changes that cost nothing at all. Stay with me to the end, because the reason a big, healthy, gorgeous bean plant flat out refuses to make actual beans comes down to one specific decision the plant makes down in the soil, and once you hear it, you will never feed your beans the same way again. I'm Jake, though most folks around here know me as Backyard Buddy. 3 years ago, I was the guy who killed houseplants, all of them, including a cactus, which takes real commitment. Then, a handful of green onion ends I tossed at the trash can missed, landed in a glass of water on the counter, and sprouted. Since then, I have regrown hundreds of plants from kitchen scraps on my windowsills and balcony. My grocery bill is down by nearly a third, and my neighbor Gloria 2 floors up, the retired school teacher who taught me this milk trick in the first place, has been growing food on her balcony for 20 years. So let's talk about what is probably happening in your garden right now, in the middle of July. You planted green beans in the spring. You watered them. You fed them. And they rewarded you by turning into a wall of gorgeous green leaves on the trellis with white flowers here and there, and hardly a pod in sight. If that is you, I want you to hear something first. You did not do anything careless. In fact, the odds are good that your beans are all leaves because you took such good care of them. That is the maddening part. The natural instinct, when a vegetable plant disappoints you, is to feed it more. So you go back to the store, you buy the all-purpose fertilizer, you mix up the blue water, and the plant says, "Thank you very much," and grows even bigger, even greener, and gives you even less to eat. I did exactly that last summer, twice, and I stood on my balcony scratching my head at a 6-foot plant with 4 beans on it. Now think about the money for a second. A packet of bean seeds costs around $2.50. Fresh green beans at the grocery store run $2 to $3 a pound all summer. One single healthy bean plant should hand you a pound or 2 of pods by itself, and most of us grow 6 or 8 plants. That is real grocery money hanging on the vine, or not hanging there. And the reason the extra fertilizer backfires is that exact underground decision I mentioned a minute ago. We are getting there, I promise, and once it clicks, every step in this video will make perfect sense. Now, this milk trick is one of 31 crops and methods in a book I put together called The 30-Day Kitchen Scrap Garden Protocol. Zero waste, zero experience, free food. It is the complete 30-day plan for turning the scraps your kitchen already throws away into growing food, and I wrote it for absolute beginners, folks with zero experience, 0 yard, and close to 0 budget, in the same friendly walk-you-through-it style you are listening to right now. It covers 31 different regrowable crops, each with its own plain instructions, plus the $10 starter kit you can put together from things you mostly already own, the day-by-day plan from your first glass of water to your first harvests, and honest troubleshooting for when a scrap decides to sulk. It is 172 pages, and it costs $17, marked down from $47. $17 one time, against a grocery bill that gets a little smaller every single week after. That is the whole pitch, and my own bill dropping by nearly a third is the proof I stand on. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you used to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time, there is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. All set? Good, because now we get to the part that changed my whole balcony. To understand why your beans are misbehaving, you have to know one thing that makes them different from nearly every other vegetable you grow. Green beans are legumes, the same family as peas and peanuts. And legumes have a superpower. Down in the soil, a bean plant strikes up a partnership with tiny living helpers, bacteria that gather nitrogen right out of the air pockets in the dirt. If you ever pull up a finished bean plant and look at the roots, you will see small, round bumps on them, about the size of tapioca pearls. Those bumps are little factories. The plant feeds those helpers sugar it makes in its leaves, and in return, the helpers hand the plant all the nitrogen it needs. Nitrogen is the nutrient that builds green leafy growth. Tomatoes have to get it from you. Peppers have to get it from you. Beans make their own. So picture what happens when you come along with a scoop of all-purpose fertilizer, which is loaded with nitrogen, and pour it on a plant that already has a private nitrogen supply. You are handing a full pantry to a plant that runs its own farm. The plant does not turn it down. It uses every bit of that free nitrogen to do the one thing nitrogen does best, which is build leaves. More leaves, bigger leaves, taller vines on the trellis. And the pods, the part you actually eat, get pushed to the back of the line. What a bean plant actually wants once the flowers show up is not nitrogen at all. It wants calcium, it wants phosphorus, and it wants steady, even water. Which brings us right back to that mason jar of milk on the railing, and why my neighbor Gloria has been pouring it on her balcony beans since before I ever killed my first houseplant. Here's the whole recipe, and I want you to hear how simple it is. 1 cup of milk, 4 cups of water. That is 1 cup of milk to 4 cups of water, a 1-to-4 mix, stirred together in a jar or an old pitcher. Any milk works, whole milk works, skim works. And this is my favorite part as a kitchen scrap fellow. Milk that has gone a little sour works just fine, because the plants in the soil do not care one bit about the date on the carton. That last inch of milk in the jug that nobody in the house will drink? That's not garbage, that's groceries. Now let me walk you through using it, one step at a time. Wait until you see the first white flowers open on your bean plants. Mix up your jar, 1 cup milk, 4 cups water. Pour about 2 cups of the mix slowly onto the soil at the base of each plant. Pour it on the dirt, not on the leaves. Then put the jar away and do it again in 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, not every week. More is not better here. Take your time with it. There is no rush at all. The beans are not going anywhere. So what is the milk actually doing down there? 2 honest things. First, milk carries calcium. And calcium is one of the nutrients a bean plant leans on hard when it is building flowers and setting pods. Second, that little bit of milk sugar feeds the living things in your soil, the same community of helpers the bean plant depends on, so the whole root zone wakes up. What milk does not carry is a big jolt of nitrogen. It feeds the pod-making side of the plant without feeding the leaf factory. Gloria taught me this one on her balcony, standing between tomato plants growing in 5-gallon buckets, and when she told me she had been doing it for 20 years, I stopped arguing and started pouring. I will be honest with you the way I always try to be. Milk is not magic on its own. It is one leg of a 3-legged stool. The second leg costs you nothing because it is about what you stop doing. The day your bean plants show their first flowers, I want you to put the all-purpose fertilizer back on the shelf. That is the whole instruction. Just stop. Your beans have their own nitrogen supply from those root helpers, and every scoop you add from a bag is a vote for leaves over pods. Now, if you are a person who really enjoys feeding your plants, and I understand, watching them respond is half the fun, here is how to do it without wrecking your harvest. Pick up any fertilizer package and look at the front. You will see 3 numbers separated by dashes, something like 10, 10-10. The first number is nitrogen. The second is phosphorus, which supports flowers and pods. The third is potassium, which supports the overall strength of the plant. For beans and flower, you want that first number low, the lower the better, and the middle number can be higher. Read the bag out loud in the store aisle if it helps. First number low, that is the rule. There is a sneakier version of this mistake that catches container growers like me. A lot of bagged potting mixes come preloaded with slow-release fertilizer beads, those little yellow or green balls in the soil, and they leak nitrogen all season long. If your mix has them, do not panic and do not repot anything. Just know that your beans are already being fed, skip every added fertilizer completely, and let the milk mix and plain water carry them from here. And if you garden in a yard, the same warning goes for fresh manure or a thick spring load of rich compost dug in right where the beans went. Beans are honestly happiest in ordinary, slightly tired soil, which might be the best news a beginner ever heard. So, quick gather up before we move on. Milk mix at first flowers and every 2 weeks after, fertilizer on the shelf, or first number low if you must. Now for the third leg of the stool, and this one is the difference between picking beans for 3 weeks and picking beans for 2 solid months. Pick early and pick often. I mean it as a schedule, not a slogan. Once pods start coming, walk out to your plants every 2 or 3 days with a bowl. Pick every pod that is around the thickness of a pencil. Do not wait for them to get big and lumpy, because a skinny young pod is the tender, tasty one anyway. And do not skip a picking day, because the harvest looks small, because the picking itself is part of the method. Something happens on the vine when you leave pods behind to fatten up. Inside every fat pod, seeds are swelling, and the moment a bean plant senses that it has a batch of mature seeds coming along, it starts winding the whole operation down. Flowering slows, new pods stop setting. The plant, as far as it is concerned, has finished its work for the year. One forgotten fat pod hiding behind a leaf can quietly talk an entire branch into retirement. I learned this the embarrassing way in my second summer, when I left for a week in August to visit my brother and came home to plants covered in lumpy, tough pods and not a single new flower. The fix was almost funny. I picked everything, every last pod, even the woody ones that went straight into the compost bucket, and inside of 10 days the plants were flowering again like it was June. Keep that picture in your head, because it is a clue. The plant is making decisions based on what it senses about its own seeds. Hold that thought about the seeds, because it is the whole reason everything in this video works, and we are almost there. First, one more piece that trips up more bean growers than anything else in hot weather. If your plants are flowering and the flowers keep falling off without turning into pods, the milk is not to blame, and neither are you. 9 times out of 10, that is heat and water. When afternoon temperatures push past 90 degrees Fahrenheit, bean flowers get fragile and drop. And there is not much any of us can do about a heat wave except wait it out, because the plant will set pods again the moment things cool. Water, though, is completely in your hands, and beans and flour want one thing above all: steadiness. Not a flood on Saturday and a drought by Wednesday, even boring moisture. Here's my routine on the balcony, step by step. Every morning, push your finger 2 inches down into the soil. 2 inches, about to your second knuckle. If it feels dry at your fingertip, water slowly at the base until it runs from the drainage holes. If it feels damp, leave it alone and check again tomorrow. Water in the morning when you can, so the plant faces the hot afternoon already stocked up. And if you grow in containers like I do, remember that pots dry out much faster than ground soil, sometimes daily in July. A 2-inch blanket of mulch on top of the container soil, straw, shredded leaves, even torn newspaper, holds that moisture steady and can buy you a full extra day between waterings. That is the whole troubleshooting kit. Heat, be patient. Water, be boring. And now, you have waited long enough. Let me pay off the promise from the very beginning, the one decision your bean plant makes underground that explains every single thing I have shown you today. Remember the deal: the bean plant runs down in the soil, sugar out, nitrogen in. That partnership is not free for the plant. Feeding those root helpers costs it a real share of everything its leaves produce, and a bean plant only pays for what it needs. So when you pour nitrogen fertilizer on it, the plant does the sensible thing. It quits paying. It scales the partnership way back, takes the free nitrogen, and spends the savings on the cheapest thing it knows how to build, which is more leaf. But that is only half the decision. The deeper half is about why plants make pods at all. A pod is not a gift to you and me. A pod is a package of seeds, and seeds are the plant's children, its entire plan for next year. A plant rushes to make seeds when it senses its season is limited, when the living is normal and the clock is real. But a plant sitting in endlessly rich, overfed comfort reads that comfort as time. It postpones the children and builds a bigger house instead, leaf after leaf after leaf. That is the decision. Comfort now, seeds later, and later never comes before frost. Every step you learn today speaks to that decision in the plant's own language. Cutting the nitrogen tells it the free ride is over, so it fires up the root partnership and gets back to business. The milk hands it calcium for pod building without a drop of leaf fuel. Steady water keeps the flowers on. And constant picking is the finishing touch, because every pencil-thin pod you take is a batch of seeds that never matured, so the plant keeps trying and flowering and trying again all the way into September. You are not tricking the plant. You are finally answering the question it has been asking all along. It was never a lazy plant. It was a comfortable one. And that's the whole idea, one small change at a time, with things your kitchen already has. The book walks you through 31 crops exactly this way, day by day, starting with scraps that are sitting in your kitchen tonight. It is called the 30-Day Kitchen Scrap Garden Protocol. It is $17 instead of $47, and every week your grocery bill shrinks a little. That $17 looks smarter. If today helped you, the book is 100 more days like it. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you used to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time, there is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. So there it is. Milk at first flowers, fertilizer on the shelf, water steady, pick every 2 or 3 days, and your beans will spend the rest of the summer making pods instead of leaves. What's the one food your kitchen throws away the most? Put it below, and I might make it the next video. I read every single one. And speaking of next time, I planted the sprouting eyes off a $2 bag of grocery store potatoes in one 5-gallon bucket on this balcony back in the spring. And when I tipped that bucket over last week, the number of pounds that rolled out honestly made me laugh out loud. I will show you the whole thing, bucket to kitchen table. Don't throw it away, grow it. I'll see you next time, buddy.